Hello and greetings to you from a very warm day in Israel on planet Earth, the third rock from the sun. My name is Anthony Altman, and today's date is the 5th of August 2024. And this video is entitled The Reality of Creation. And I am really ad-libbing on this because this subject has been on my mind and on my heart, in my heart, for a long time, and it became more intensified over the last few weeks. As I look around me here in Israel and on our planet, and I see the big mess that humanity is in, and I see how England has just had an election and they elected the socialists, and now they're dissatisfied with what the new prime minister is doing. And I wonder why people create their reality, and then when they get what they have created, they don't want it anymore. They don't like it. And yet they keep creating something that is not for their highest good or their highest well-being or for their enjoyment or for their success. In other words, they continue to suffer. And they had this in America in 2000. And now there's going to be another election. And the way things are going now, it's anybody's guess as to what's going to happen. You had an election in Argentina, and the new president seemed to be a godsend. And now he's doing things that are just strange. So I've been asking myself, why is our reality so challenging at the moment? And I've been speaking to a few people, and I have my perception of what's going on the planet, what's going on within me, and what's going on with people. And it's indeed very rare to find someone who actually thinks like I do. Now, people say to me, well, we're all different. Well, if we're all different and we're all thinking differently, how can we create a democracy? Simple question. There is no answer. Because if we're all thinking differently and creating differently, it's not possible to have a democracy because we're all creating something different, distinct, and separate. So when a majority of people elect a president or a prime minister or actually bring about something, some reality, that is because sufficient people are doing that. And then there are plenty of other people who are in a minority who are not happy with that. It sounds convoluted, but this is what I have realized. I'm going to give you an example. It's emblematical. It's purely for descriptive purposes, because to talk about something as intangible as what is the reality of creation, words just don't actually do it. So here is a visual that I'm going to create with words. Let's take an artist, and the artist puts a blank canvas on his or her easel. There is no image or picture on the canvas. It's blank. This, to me, signifies creation. And then the artist will apply colors and create a picture. And this is symbolic, indicative of a human being creating his or her own reality. Now, you cannot say that creation painted the picture. You cannot say it was the will of God. You cannot say that it was chance, random, accidental, coincidental. The artist has an intelligence, has a certain conscious awareness, is attuned to the imagery that he would or she would like to create, and creates the picture. I really do feel deeply that the reality you and I experience is the reality that we have created by ourselves in accordance to our own volition, choice, decisions, karmic debt, learned beliefs that we were conditioned with from birth, or in fact, a few months before birth, and that's another discussion, definitely from birth to about 7 years of age. Or that belief could have been brought from a previous incarnation. And then learn patterns of behavior, which also could be from this life or a previous life. And then we've got learned programming, when we have been programmed by the school system, the medical system, our parents. You can say that beliefs and patterns of behavior learned are programming. I suppose you could say that, but it's all learned, you see, and it creates the ability or disability, the freedom or the limitation of expression to create our own picture on the blank canvas. We as human beings are really blank, like a blank canvas. But other people impose their beliefs, their patterns of behavior, their programming, usually parents, the school system, the medical system, and every other system on this planet, which causes us to learn how to perceive. Now, perception is established and structured in consciousness. And most people don't really know what consciousness is, and I've been talking about it just for years and years and years. In all my 85, 86 videos, most of them are still on YouTube, and I've got now about 28 videos on Rumble, so I'm gradually moving more and more to Rumble. I talk about consciousness, and if you wish to know more about consciousness, talk to people, go on the internet, inquire. Go on my website, anthonyaltman.net, and it's written down in the synopsis of this video. And go to the health and wellness page, and I actually do give, I believe, a worthy description of what consciousness is and is not. And I must say, as I'm growing in conscious awareness, it's insufficient. So I will be adding to that, but I haven't been able to do it just yet. There's more to it, but it's a good beginning to understand what consciousness is. And consciousness, being a pure energy, is in fact that font, that source, that quantum field of all possibilities from which we are able to develop our potential, to develop our perception. Everything about us comes out of consciousness. Now, consciousness is creation. But what we do with that consciousness is our individual creation. What we have painted on that blank canvas. Now, most people are not actually aware that they are limited in some way. We're all limited. I've spent most of my life, 60 odd years, being limited, and it's only now that I really am gaining some momentum in removing these limitations, with more to remove. But most people I speak to, they have no idea they're limited. They seem to be quite content with what they've got, which is really not very much, under 5% of seeing the light spectrum, less than the full spectrum of the sound spectrum, a lot less, 5% of our DNA, using 5% of our minds. I mean, this is ridiculous. We are like 3, 4, 5% human beings. What about developing 15, 20, 25%? Most people just do not seem to be interested in that. And then if they are interested, they don't really know what to do. But they don't talk about it. And I wish to talk about it constantly, because without developing our greater potential by changing our learned beliefs for that which is life supporting rather than life limiting or damaging, to change our learned patterns of behavior for that which is life supporting and not life limiting or damaging, and to change whatever programming for something that is life supporting and not life limiting or damaging. To do that, we ought to know how to do that. And most people don't know how to do that. And of those people, most of those people, if not all, are not interested in doing anything about it. Now, I know it sounds judgmental and it sounds negative, but this is my observation. I'm talking with people and I just get limitations from left to right and in the middle, just limitations. Can't do this because this is wrong, that's wrong. Who says it's wrong? If you feel that it's wrong, that's one thing. But if somebody tells you that it's wrong, somebody else, or information comes from an external source that it's wrong, how do you know it's wrong? And if you are following that directive, are you not giving your power away? Would it not be better to develop more consciousness, your own innate consciousness, and develop more of your own innate greater human potential, and then know what is life supporting for you and what is not, and to make your own choice and to be totally responsible for what you think, what you speak, and for the actions that you perform. You know, most people I talk to are not willing to be responsible for the reality that they create. They're either victims or they are believing that the universe is random, it's coincidental, it's luck. And it's neither of those. It's none of those. The source of all, creation, who created our physical bodies and our physical universe and this planet, there is no way it can be random, accidental, or lucky. We have a human body which is the most remarkable machine I have ever perceived in my life. And unfortunately, most people think that our scientists, who are using no more than 5% of their mental potential, no more than 5% of their consciousness, seeing less than 5% of the light spectrum, do not hear much of the sound spectrum. And the people are more willing to believe them than whoever or whatever created all of life. Now, this brings me to another revolutionary concept. Is physical creation real? You can touch your body. I've tried to pinch myself. For some reason, my camera goes a little funny. Is my body real? It feels solid. Is the car real? Is the food I'm eating real? Is the house I'm living in real? Well, there are a few people I know who think it's not real. And I do not think. I do not. In fact, I will go one better. I know it's not real. It is what people will say a figment of our imagination. It's mind. And somehow or other, there is an aspect within our minds that is able to perceive a creation, and everybody can see it in the same way. A car, a carrot, you look at the sky, you see the stars, you see the constellations. We see the same, and yet it's not really there. I know that this is a holographic projection. Now, who is the projectionist? And if it's holographic, how come it feels so real? It's a matrix. It does not necessarily mean that it's a negative matrix. I believe it to be a positive matrix, but within the matrix of creation, others are doing their best to create a negative matrix, which is what's happening on planet Earth at this time. So this matrix is so superior that it is hidden and we don't know really what it is. There are books that discuss the holographic creation, holographic physical universe. We've got all sorts of science that's beginning to tell us that reality just isn't what it appears to be. For instance, I know I've discussed this before, but let's just bear with me, please, indulge me. The chair you're sitting in, the computer that you are looking at, or the TV you're looking at, listening to me, it seems solid. And yet all of matter is made up of atoms. And the constituents of an atom, as I understand it, is a nucleus around which are particles flowing or moving in particular patterns. And I don't know exactly how many particles, but there are photons, neutrons, electrons, and a few other trons, I guess. I'm not a scientist. But the biggest constituent of an atom is space. So if space is that much larger than the nucleus and the particles within the space, how come the television, the table, the chair is solid? I do not know. I cannot answer that. But I would hazard a guess that it's solid because that's how we imagine it. I am aware that our minds are incredibly powerful. When I was with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi many years ago, and I learned transcendental meditation and became a teacher of that technique. I also did the City program, a special advanced, developing what is regarded as superhuman abilities, cities. And one of them was what they call the flying technique. You rise off the ground, levitate. Now, I experienced that. It doesn't matter whether you believe me or not. I know what I experienced. I know what I've seen. I know I've had many experiences that most people would not want to believe me because they haven't experienced it. And I rose off the ground. Some told me about 14 inches. Admittedly, I came back down to the ground sufficiently where I hit my coccyx and impacted a vertebrae, 2 vertebrae. And I spent the next 2 weeks with bandages around me. I wasn't giving up. I was still doing it, but leaning more forward because I leaned too far back. So I know that I rose off the ground without mechanical assistance, and my knees cleared the ground. How is this possible? The mind is that powerful, and it can work for you or it can work against you. It can help you evolve or it can help you devolve. It can help you raise your innate consciousness. It's not the correct term. The consciousness is already there, but access it or utilize it or reflect it. And it can help you to develop more of your innate potential. The question is, do you want to develop more of your innate potential? Now, even if you happen to be accessing 5, 6, 7% of your potential, do you want 10%? Or are you quite content just with what you've got? The reason I'm asking this question is that because we are in a mess on this planet, because too many people are accessing too little consciousness and are not accessing sufficient of their greater potential. And so we're in a mess. We are experiencing one of the greatest existential threats, I think, ever recorded, or even before that. And if we are not wise enough, it's going to get very difficult on this planet. But it doesn't have to be this way. We can change it if you and I are willing to change for the better, to improve ourselves, to develop our potential and access more of our innate consciousness. And if you don't want to do it for yourself, maybe we can think of doing it for the common good. The only way out of this mess that we're in is with consciousness. If we're not able to access more consciousness, then there is no solution to the problems we are experiencing. Nobody's coming to save us, because we can save ourselves if we choose to. And therein lies the rub. So the reason I wanted to make this a video is because we have been given a blank canvas. Creation is a blank canvas. And we're busy drawing. And if you look at your drawings or your paintings, is it beautiful? Is it not? Is it complicated? Is it pleasurable to look at? What are you creating in your life? Are you happy? Are you well? Are you earning enough or experiencing enough financial abundance to be able to satisfy your requirements to live? You don't need 5 cars. You don't need 5 houses. Some people want them, and that's good. But for most of us, that is not going to make us happy. Like I said before, I have met many more happy poor people than happy rich people. When I was rich, when I made my first fortune, I was far from happy. I do not have a fortune now in terms of money or material wealth, but I'm happier now than I've ever been in my life. And the wealth that I have is the amount of liberation from my limitations and my impediments, my internal impediments, hurdles, limitations that I've been able to let go, change, modify, improve. That's my wealth. And that's why I make all these videos. I'm very happy to do this, even though I know that those people are just not interested. And that doesn't matter. This video and all my videos are really meant for those people who are interested, who do appreciate the inspiration and the motivation that I share, that I offer in everything that I say. And the interesting thing is, the people who develop more consciousness and more of their innate potential do not necessarily go where the majority of people wish to go. Now, the majority of people wish to suffer. They wish to run like lemmings over the ledge because they give their power away. They vote in all the leaders which are not for the highest good. And for those fewer people who are developing more consciousness and more of the innate human potential, they don't need to follow the masses. In fact, it would be folly. Those people, including me, walk another path. It's the path less traveled. And we will find our own destiny. And we will find our own fulfillment because the masses are not interested. And that's okay, because everybody evolves in their own speed, in their own time. And we're going through cycles, and we're right in the middle of this cycle at the moment, and there will be survivors. And those survivors will fulfill their destiny. And the others will reincarnate, and eventually will get to this point, and they will make the decisions that will help them. Everything is good, and everybody gets to go home, but not all at the same time. Everybody becomes enlightened sooner or later, whether it takes a year or a millennia or 2 or even longer. It doesn't matter. Thank you for listening to this. What I would like to say is an inspiration and motivation to develop, access more consciousness and more of our innate human potential, and share it with others. Develop more divine light, bring in the light, share it with others, share this video. And this is the road less traveled. So thank you for joining me. And until next time, I will see you again. Thank you.